Singapore is heading towards its worst recession on record, as the trade-reliant economy bears the brunt of a fall in global demand, border closures and trade restrictions, plus its own internal lockdown measures. The country's Ministry of Trade and Industry has downgraded its growth forecast for 2020 and now projects the economy to shrink by 4 to 7% this year.
The second quarter will be the bottom of the cycle, and we are starting to see some stabilization in the third quarter. We only begin to see positive year-on-year growth only in the second quarter of next year. It will take 24 months for real GDP to return back to pre-COVID levels.
To cushion the economic impact of COVID-19, Singapore announced its fourth stimulus package, the Fortitude Budget, bringing its total measures to about $66.5 billion. The latest budget focuses on job creation and supporting businesses to retain and retrain workers.
The government has introduced the SG United Jobs and Skill Program, which aims at helping about 100,000 workers cope with the pandemic and also enable them to pick up new skill sets and also take on new jobs.
Experts warn that despite these measures, job losses are inevitable. DBS Bank has projected that at least 45,600 workers will be retrenched this year, taking the country's overall unemployment rate up to 3.6%.
You're still essentially talking about 20% of GDP. So it's not going to be offset the slack in external demand. It's not going to turn around a recession to growth. All it can really do is try to help as many businesses as possible to retain workers, create jobs.
The economic outlook is equally grim for the rest of Southeast Asia.
Across the ASEAN 5, all of us will be in deep recession in the second quarter, a various degree. Over in Europe, we do have a very sharp downturn, so demand is going to be very severely impacting the textile industry, for instance. So the smaller emerging economies of the ASEAN, although they may not be adversely affected by the pandemic locally at home, but in the end market, the landscape is still relatively vulnerable. We may still see very sharp rate of contraction.
Experts say that a revival of demand from China, the US, and Europe will be critical to Southeast Asia. But they have warned that risk factors like tensions between China and the US, infection rates abroad, and the containment of the virus locally will have a considerable impact on the region's road to recovery. Miro Lu, CGTN, Singapore.